Hello, my name is Becca Endicott, and this presentation today will be covering the project idea for a shared housing program for graduate students at the University of Indianapolis. So for those of you who might not know, shared housing or home sharing is defined by Gutman and others in 1989 as a living arrangement in which unrelated people occupy a single dwelling, sharing common spaces such as the kitchen, bathroom, living room, but each maintaining a private space as well. So this shared housing program idea that I came up with will involve an agreement between a graduate student or students and an aging adult or adults in the Indianapolis community. The aging adults involved in this agreement are those who seek to aid in the cost of their bills or companionship by renting out spare rooms in their house to graduate students in need of affordable housing. So the purpose of this program that I came up with is to create a mutually beneficial relationship between a graduate student as well as an aging adult in the Indianapolis community. So, in my own research, I found that many graduate students face financial difficulties during their professional graduate programs. So, one of the factors that contribute to financial difficulties can be the cost of housing. So, in an article I found called It Takes Money to Make Money: Inequity in Psychology Graduate Students Borrowing and Financial Stressors, Melanie Wilcox, among other authors, discussed the student loan debt crisis of psychology graduate students. So, one of the predictors of financial difficulties discussed was those who have a lower socioeconomic status. Another predictor that was discussed in the article for financial difficulties among the psychology graduate students were those who were Black or African American or Hispanic or Latinx. So both groups of these students have shown to borrow more in order to be able to pursue their graduate education in psychology. So this program that I have created or that I am trying to develop could assist these graduate students who are in need of affordable housing and take one of those financial stressors off their plate as they pursue their professional degree. So another blog that I found when I was doing my research was titled "Grad Students Face Enough Stress. We Shouldn't Have to Worry About Housing Too." So this blog talked about the firsthand experience of a graduate student named Alexandria Drake and her personal struggles paying her rent while pursuing a higher education. So one of the takeaways of this blog as I was reading through it was a quote that really stuck out to me. It was, there are many joys and privileges that come with being a graduate student, pursuing my passions, developing expertise, and working with specialists in my field. It's a time of personal and intellectual growth, a challenging and exciting stepping stone for future ambitions. Yet these positive experiences are often a trade-off for an adequate and affordable home. So many are eager to pursue a higher education, but it often comes with the financial struggles and burdens of paying for housing. So students are often having to juggle being a student while also having to juggle financial responsibilities of renting somewhere, of owning a home. So this project idea of home sharing with an aging adult in the community of Indianapolis could alleviate that piece of the financial burden for graduate students by offering them an option for affordable housing. And just to kind of add this on, I know a lot of people are probably familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So starting from the bottom up of the pyramid, we have physiological, and then safety, love and belonging, esteem, and self-actualization. So kind of taking that and relating it back to my project idea, if students are having to worry about meeting their needs at the bottom of the pyramid, such as physiological and safety needs, such as housing, it prohibits them from being able to grow in their professional program and moving toward that self-actualization piece in their professional program. So how does this benefit older adults? So not only can this benefit the graduate student in Indianapolis, but the aging adults can also reap the benefits of this program. So I'm just going to go through a few of the benefits that I have found in my research and also that I believe that this program could benefit the aging adults. So the shared housing program allows aging adults who want to age in place to remain in their homes. In a 2014 survey by AARP, 88% of the respondents over the age of 65 in the United States endorsed this desire to remain in their residence for as long as possible. So you can see that a lot of aging adults want to remain in their homes and they want to be in that space. And by having this shared housing program, it can help alleviate maybe some of the financial burdens, which we'll kind of go into, and also the isolation and loneliness if they have these empty spare rooms in their house and they want to rent them out to people. This can help, provide that companionship and provide that social capital piece, which is what we'll go into in the next factors that I've also contributed to this. So it can alleviate the financial burden aging adults can experience. So results from a scoping review of home sharing for older adults, Martinez, among other authors, concluded that older adults benefited from supplemental income of home sharing to help aid in the cost of utilities and other bills. So as you can see, not only are these aging adults wanting to remain in place, but it can also help alleviate some of the financial burdens that come with aging in place if you are an independent aging adult. And lastly, it can provide social capital for the aging adult and companionship. So an article titled Social Capital and Successful Aging, the Role of Senior Housing, Carolyn Canusko, among other authors, discussed the decline of social capital in the United States. So while this social capital is on decline, it has also been shown that social capital is a part of successful aging. So by participating in a shared housing program, older adults are able to have a piece of that social capital, especially if they don't have any relatives or friends that are geographically close to them. This can serve as a way to alleviate those feelings of loneliness and can provide a source of companionship for those aging adults who wish to remain in their home, in the community that they want to, while also providing them that piece of social capital and kind of maybe filling that void of loneliness. So factors that contributed to this idea for this project for me, I myself am a graduate student, so I completely understand the struggle of trying to find affordable housing. I actually moved here from Ohio to start my graduate degree here in Indianapolis. And I remember before I came here, it was a struggle to figure out what I could afford. Am I going to be able to work part-time, full-time during my program? What's that going to look like? I was nervous to sign a lease and then not be able to afford that housing because I might not be able to work. So it was a lot of different factors that I had to consider when I was moving here. And I think that if I was able to participate in this program, that could have alleviated a lot of those stressors for me. Another factor that I found or that contributed to this idea for me was that I also want to work with the geriatric population, and I want to ensure that individuals can age in place where they want to and for however long as they are able to. I felt like this was a creative solution that can help combat individuals not being able to remain in their homes. And lastly, I found it could be mutually beneficial in multiple ways. It can serve as companionship and financial relief on both sides of the agreement. So for the graduate student, this gives an option to have affordable housing while also having companionship of the person that lives there, as well as for the older adult. They can also have financial relief for utilities or on their mortgage or other things that they might need help with. And it also serves as companionship for them too. So some key steps in how this program could or would key steps that would need to happen in order for this program to play out. These are just some of the things that I came up with that I feel would be necessary for this program to happen. So I think a matching program between the University of Indianapolis and members of the community interested in the program would be necessary. It's important that both parties are satisfied and that they are able to, they have a mutual beneficial relationship. I think that would be an important part of this. I also think that having established criteria for the program, who can participate, grad students, low income, what's the need, I think having an established criteria will be important, especially in starting up a new program. I think there would also need to be a coordinator, so someone who coordinates the matches, maybe does a meet and greet, if sees the match process through, and moving the student in and all of that. And then I think an exit interview would also be necessary, just to check in and see what did they like, what did they not like, how can we improve. I think that is also important, and especially with program development, and also having a conflict manager. Somebody, like, if something happens, conflict is inevitable. It doesn't always have to be emotionally charged, but sometimes things happen, and how are we going to resolve those things for both parties? And then also a lease agreement established between either the university and the homeowner, or the homeowner and the student, some sort of established contract that lays out what is this going to look like, what are the rules, what are the boundaries, etc. So, in summary, today's participation was about establishing a home sharing program between the University of Indianapolis and aging adults of the community of Indianapolis. So, this program could be mutually beneficial for graduate students who are seeking affordable housing arrangements, as well as aging adults who may be in need of companionship, supplemental income, or who want to volunteer to host a student to help them to continue to successfully age in place. So I hope that you will consider this proposal and all of the multifactorial benefits it could contribute to the Indianapolis community. Thank you.